Hi there! Today I'm reviewing the LEGO Monkey Kid Mighty Azure Lion set. This set retails for $80 and it comes with 789 pieces, which in theory is just about average. Just look at the price per piece ratio. But let's go into the review. So as I said already, this is set 80048 LEGO Monkey Kid Mighty Azure Lion for a retail price of $80 and 789 pieces. Now this is super similar to many of the other mechs, since they do just mostly reskin the mechs and just send them out. And arguably, this is the worst one, and it's pretty inaccurate, since in the actual show, half of his chest is black, and only about a third of it was actually Azure. So it's really inaccurate, and like, we already know that the designers do this kind of design for MK mechs, since we got that for Macaque's Evil Mech back in 2023. But even so, it's not even a lot of effort to make half of the mech a different color and the other bit Azure. Like, not gonna lie, I'm actually really disappointed as a result, because even the minifigure had one hand being black and the other one being blue. And it's not even at all reflected in the actual mech, which shouldn't even be that much effort to implement in. Like, worst case scenario, you could just recolor an element or two, which can realistically still be avoided anyways. But that nitpick aside, this is still a mech, so articulation is kind of a big component of this, and it's pretty mediocre. On one hand, it's got great head articulation, like it can rotate a lot, even though it's got whatever's going on with its hair. So that's really interesting. How does it actually hit anything with this much articulation? But then on the other hand, the legs have almost no articulation at all. Like the feet can only rotate left and right, and which is super annoying since it's nearly impossible to get an actually dynamic pose. Also, there's literally no knee joints at all, which is so annoying since even a small bit of articulation would have went a long way. Like, on top of all the dumb ankle joints, it's got no knee joints. Literally now impossible for any poses other than just standing still. I mean, it's got the same leg joint as all the other mechs that exist, so that's mediocre. However, it does have a pretty good amount of arm and hand and elbow articulation, so I guess you could fight Monkey King and MK without moving, I guess. But there are some good movements of his hands, so that's actually good. Other than just articulation problems, his chest is constricted really terribly, since you can literally see some red elements just poking out. Now, I've got no problem with the techniques used in the chest, but at least if you're going to have the interior of his chest showing, at least make it blend in, rather than literally standing out by being red. Like, come on, LEGO. I know you can do much better. This is a terrible mech right now. Moving on from that, just like every other Monkey Kid LEGO set ever to exist, this has way too many stickers. Like, the only actual print is just the 1x1 tiles for his eyes, and that would be like too much effort to make it to a sticker. Other than that though, let's go into the head. I actually do like the head a pretty decent amount. Now, I get why his hair is like that, since both that his hair shape is kind of weird and would be pretty tough to design, and like have his hair be able to go fluidly on his chest while still being able to have actual head articulation is pretty much impossible. And he's supposed to be like in his mega giant form, so his hair doesn't exactly obey the laws of physics. And this is supposed to be like his hair is moving around. And while I do like how it's designed, since it could definitely be much, much worse, but I feel like it also could be slightly better still, since it also takes a bit to realize that's how it is, and maybe a bit more interesting details would really make the set pop out just a bit more. Moving on, this set has easily the coolest weapons out of every mech. It comes with a very stereotypical sword, which is cool, I guess, but every other mech to ever exist also uses it. However, the ink scroll is actually a cool weapon, since, well, the Azure Lion uses the ink scroll as his weapon. Additionally, it's actually perfectly sized. Like, it feels really accurate to the actual scale. Overall, this mech just sucks. And realistically, it's probably the worst mech in the entire theme. If not the worst mech in like the past 5 years. Now let's go into the minifigures. But before I do, I have to ask you to please subscribe to my YouTube channel, as my goal was an ambitious 500 subscribers by the end of the year. But now, my new goal is just 30 subscribers. I would highly appreciate it if you do subscribe. But let's go back into the video. Okay, there's 5 minifigures in this set. But I'm not going to review the Ink Demon because, well, it's just an Ink Demon. I want to start off by reviewing the one and only Monkey King. Now this is actually a super good minifigure. None of his pieces are in any way, shape, or form actually exclusive, but that's perfectly fine since this is a really nice minifigure. The torso is super nicely detailed. While not particularly accurate, it looks really good. But like the leg design is even better. Like dual molded and printing on the sides. Like that's absolutely insane. Like this is a super high quality minifigure. And if every minifigure is this good, then this set actually has a decent chance of recovering. Anyways, the next minifigure is Pigsy. Now, it's a kind of a bad minifigure. And it's got actually exclusive torso. But it's not that good. I've never been really a fan of the head of Pigsy. It always felt a bit too animalistic as compared to Pigsy being quite human-like in the show. Also, his torso is supposed to see like all the main characters getting a super armor. And like this is Pigsy's version. And the main difference is that this torso has a bit of red in it. And like May's is green and Sandy's is blue and so on and so forth. And so this isn't even that unique. Other than that, let's go on to the next minifigure, which is the mighty Azure Lion. This minifigure has actually a really cool design for its hair. I've always liked it since it felt so unique. Also, this minifigure has two differently colored arms. Which, let me get this straight. LEGO can make different colored arms for minifigures, but not different colored arms for a mech? Like, come on, LEGO. This makes absolutely no sense at all. But who am I to know why they do this? Its torso is actually pretty cool, and as always, extremely inaccurate to the mech. The legs printing is always super basic, just more pearl gold printing. But hey, it's still better than having no printing, I guess. The final minifigure is the one and only Monkey Kid, who has literally the normal prints for his torso and legs as many other Monkey Kid minifigures, except he's now in his monkey form. This is actually super cool, since this is the only set ever to have a monkey form of MK, even though it's literally just a single head print. Other than that, there aren't too much to say about this minifigure, so let's go on to the conclusion. Overall, this mech low-key kind of sucks. Like, don't get me wrong, it still checks all the marks a normal mech should check, but like barely. This mech has little to no leg articulation, and is super inaccurate to the source material. However, the minifigures are actually really good. For the first time, we get an MK minifigure in his monkey form, but that's not nearly good enough for this to actually become a decent set. The pricing is pretty good. Like, I'd expect this set, if it released right now, to be $90, but hey, $80 is a perfectly acceptable price. Overall, I'd have to rate this set a solid 7.6 out of 10, purely because it has no articulation at all. And now we've finished off today's review of 80048 LEGO Monkey Kid, the mighty Azure Lion set. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and once again, if you've made it this far, please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It genuinely means a lot to me, and subscribing shows that people watch my videos and hopefully take something away from it and enjoy it. That is all for this video. Goodbye.